Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Be Your Own Coach. I'm Paul, and today's conversation is a bit more personal. Recently, due to a corporate restructuring, I found myself laid off. Like many of you who've been in this position, I initially felt a mix of disbelief, frustration, and even embarrassment. The part of the organization that I worked for was delivering, really exceeding expectations in that delivering. But it's crucial to understand, and I've been reminding myself of this daily, that being laid off is not a reflection of personal failure or inadequacy. Often, layoffs result from larger organizational structural problems, totally out of your control. Let's talk about the first 3 things to do once you're laid off. First, allow yourself to process the situation. First and foremost, it's essential to give yourself space to understand what's happened. Losing a job, especially unexpectedly, is a significant life event. Don't rush through your feelings. I don't want to tell you how to act, but some things that are very helpful is to set aside time each day to reflect upon your thoughts and your feelings. Right? Replay some of your successes. Replay some of the elements that you could learn from. Right? Be a lifelong learner in these spaces. Talk openly about your situation with family and trusted friends. Think about journaling your experiences. Write it down, orate them, start a YouTube channel. It helps clarify your emotions and your thoughts. Right? By giving yourself permission to feel, you can begin to move past the initial shock and prepare yourself for the journey ahead. And there is a journey ahead. The next step is really take stock of your actual skills and achievements. The next step is to take a clear, honest look at your skills, accomplishments, and growth. Remember, your value as a professional is intact. It was the company's restructuring, not your competence, that led to the current situation. Things you might want to consider. Again, write down your most significant achievements and the skills you've developed. Update your resume and LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn still is the de facto space for where we're going to find that next job. Reflect and clearly state these confidently on your resume and through LinkedIn. Ask former colleagues and managers for recommendations and endorsements. Typically, if you're being reorged out of an organization, your managers and the people who've been direct supervisors, they're free to speak on your behalf. Okay. By doing this, you'll reinforce your self-confidence and remind yourself of your capabilities, making it easier to approach the job market positively. Our third item is to reconnect and network intentionally. I think it's important that we talk about intentionally here. You've all heard of the 10,000 hours rule, right? Practice makes perfect. That's not exactly true. What makes you perfect is perfect practice or intentional practice. So practicing bad behaviors does not make you better. You need to have coaching and you want to be intentional about that. And the same thing with our networking, right? You're not networking to find your social friends. You're networking with the intent of who's going to be the next person that helps me lead to that next opportunity. The power of the network can't be overstated. Relationships you've nurtured throughout your career can open new doors. Reach out genuinely to former colleagues, mentors, and industry connections. Remember in this conversation or however you decide to reach out, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a message, LinkedIn, Facebook, however you decide you're going to reach out, make sure that you don't just make this about you. Remind the person that you're connecting with how your connection was created, what the strength of that connection is, how you want to grow that connection, and then maybe think about what is the ask of this process. But I want you to be clear. You have to make the ask, right? You have to let your colleagues understand where you're at and what is that ask that I can look for. Something I would encourage you is to not be so blunt as, can you get me a new job? That yes, that's what you want at the end of the process, but there are a lot of ways to this, right? So, hey, do you know of any openings? Do you know of any recruiters in my area? Do you know of any people that I can talk to, that I can connect with in this space? So don't make this a, hey, friend Larry, this is now your job to find me a job, right? It's really, hey, friend Larry, I'm in a tough spot. I've lost my job. While I know that I'm not asking you to do this work for me, but hey, do you know of or have you heard of anybody looking for people with my skill set? Do you know of recruiters in our skill set? Do you know of areas, or do you have conversations with people who might be able to leverage my skill? And then finally, make sure that if you do come across somebody looking for that, please put out my name, right, in that regard. Attend professional networking events. Meetup has them everywhere. Bright events or Eventbrite, you'll be able to find some of those elements. Try to be able to attend in person. It's more authentic. It's more genuine. You can gauge an entire body reaction to what you're saying and the connection that you're trying to make in that space. Now, you can still attend, and I think it's important to attend virtual ones, right? Time-wise, it's a little bit easier to think about that, and just expand your reach. Remember, the idea here is to grow that network. We want as many people knowing what our situation is, what our skills are, and to be looking for that next opportunity that they can relay it back to us, or that we are the first person they think of when somebody else mentions an opportunity. You want to clearly communicate your situation and your goals to your network, right? So, is your goal to take a gap year? Do you want some time off? Do you need some time down, right? Is your goal to get right back into the workforce? Do you need to get to the same place in the workforce? Are you thinking about changing careers? Are you thinking about what else can I do in this space? But again, you want to be able to clearly communicate this, right? Don't put this person in a position where they might be describing the interactions that they've had with you and what your last position or your last role was. But if your next role or the desired next role is not the same, that doesn't really help that team. You need to clearly communicate, what are your intentions? What do you want to do next? Okay, so as I begin this journey back into the job market, I'll be checking in a few times a week. I want to put out some videos. What have I done this week? What have I found successful? What have I found not so helpful in these processes? Share with you some of these victories along the way, and just help you understand what my road back is going to be. Remember, a layoff is just a detour. It's not the end of your career, right? Let's navigate this together. Stay focused, resilient, and proactive. Thank you for joining me today on Be Your Own Coach. Be sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, keep up with the journey and future leadership content. Until the next time, stay strong, and remember, this is just the beginning of a new chapter.